What's going on, everybody? Welcome on back to my patch note update, release note videos. We're going to be going through today's notes, breaking things down, seeing what that's going to mean for the future of 76 and different changes that they're going to be implementing. Definitely looking forward to some of the goodies that we were able to preview before these notes went live, but let's dive right in. So today, March 3rd, saying, listen closely. Do you hear that? The Appalachian wasteland is calling your name. The Backwoods update is arriving and brings a load of great changes to the region. A little preview of Bigfoot over here. I would have liked it if it was just like a silhouette in the background behind some trees. Thump, thump, thump. Bigfoot is coming. Put on your power armor and grab your favorite weapon. We have a 4-star legendary creature to take down. Backwoods update arrives today and it brings more rewards to all vault dwellers across the wasteland. Enjoy some great quality of life improvements to public events and activities, formerly known as events, your Pip-Boy and your armor. We got the highlights over here saying Bigfoot has arrived, legendary Bigfoot has appeared. It'll be invading your public events. This 4-star legendary creature has a chance to drop a new exclusive 4-star mod, Thrill Seeker. We got Uninvited Guests. Bigfoot isn't alone with its desire to ruin your fun. Other special creatures, such as a more challenging Deathclaw Matriarch, Wendigo Colossus, and more, have chances to show up and crash your party. Activities and public event balancing. Many activities, formerly events, and public events have reached updates to improve the rewards and event flow to keep you playing and not waiting around. Which is interesting. We'll get to that when we hit that section. Pip-Boy improvements. Your Pip-Boy is now faster, smoother, and has some new menus to help you get to what you're looking for faster than before. I'm interested in that. Armor balancing, reduced armor weight in and out of stash, and in and out of stash. And more resistances baked into the armor itself to give you more choices on how you protect yourself. So it's funny because reduced stash weight is like all I heard. Vanity lights, new photo mode feature. Take photos during the night or in dark interiors without worrying about how to make your character shine. I feel like No Man's Sky had something similar, where if you went to take a screenshot, you could move like the sun, wherever the sun rays were coming from. And then, of course, finally, we have Season 24, Rip Daring and the Cryptids from Beyond the Cosmos. Rip Daring sets off on another adventure, this time facing off against extraterrestrial creatures. We hope you're ready for another Rip Daring adventure. All right, we got the Arrival of Bigfoot. Bigfoot has emerged from hiding in the Appalachian wasteland, armed with a giant tree branch. I wonder if it's just a reskinned like behemoth, and instead of the fire hydrant that he smashes down on the ground, it's going to be this tree branch. And it says, and it throws blood-sucking ticks at you. Oh god. Bigfoot has a chance to appear at the end of select group of public events. Which ones? You'll have to figure that out, because taking this creature down gives you a chance at earning 4-star legendary items. That's the Thrill Seeker one. Part of me feels like there's already a data mined list of which ones. Part of me wishes they would tell you which ones added it or made it even where every single one. I don't know. It's weird because right off the rip, they're talking about balancing things, making it where you don't wait around for certain events to pop up and you run a little bit of everything, right? But now it's like, which ones are the good ones? Go find out. And it's like, okay, we're still going to find out right away. And we still might not run certain events that we might not normally run. We'll see. I'll get to that speculation soon enough. But we will be hunting down the new 4-star mod, Thrill Seeker. No clue what it does. Hopefully killing this 4-star also drops other 4-stars. I don't know. I'm still waiting for other ways besides the raid to get 4-stars. And I don't think this update fixed the raid cache, so we still go a little bit longer without that. Alright, so we got to celebrate its arrival, we're holding a little event for this larger-than-life creature. We're calling it Bigfoot's Bash. During the first full week of the update, Bigfoot and the public events that spawn it will have an extremely high chance of appearing, after which it'll return to being its normal, camera-shy self. You hope you're ready to take on this legendary cryptid. Do note, if it takes you too long to bring this creature down, it'll return to the wild. Interesting, okay. So we gotta kill it quickly. And now for the first full week, we're gonna have some extra chances to find it. I'm definitely gonna be taking advantage of that as I can with the community. We'll see if we're lucky to get any 4 stars, if that is how it works, or even get this Thrill Seeker mod. Alright, so definitely looking forward to Bigfoot. And then Uninvited Guests, again, it was mentioning the Wendigo Colossus to Deathclaw Matriarch. And it's saying those can pop up at the end of events like Guided Meditation and Distinguished Guest. And it's funny because I feel like we never run Distinguished Guest, so this might be one of those situations where we're going to run just about everything just to see what chances we have of either the Uninvited Guests or Bigfoot itself, you know? And then we got Season 24, Rip Daring and the Cryptids from Beyond the Cosmos. Definitely hearing that this season we have less rewards to be claiming from the, not this video that's right in front of us, but one of the other videos they showed. Actually, it might be this one. I'm interested in the different items they're bringing in. They're bringing in like the UFO weather station, bringing a few kind of alien and UFO themed things. And then obviously Bigfoot's coming around. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself in terms of the seasonal rewards. I personally like to wait until I have 100 in the not scoreboard, and then I go through and claim my seasonal ranks. So by the time I get to 100, a lot of stuff is like still very fresh, and it's kind of like the first time I'm still seeing those items. But definitely looking forward to this season. Know a few friends who are excited to claim some of the goodies there. Again, even if it's reduced rewards. Rip Daring is back for another adventure, it's saying. And this time he's hunting extraterrestrial creatures. Our new seasonal rewards such as the Pip-Boy display, Bigfoot Stein display, and an alien weather machine. Alright, we got a bunch of changes to events. Events have now been renamed to activities. And before I even go any further, I wonder if one of the things that we bring up in conversation on stream every once in a while is like when you think of certain MMOs that have raids, dungeons, things like that, there's like a menu for all of that. There's like, you can get your pickup groups, you can jump in. Like, I'm very curious to see how they start to shift some of these events, activities, and see if possibly they come up with some way to look for groups, maybe beyond just the server you're in. Who knows? I'm speculating too much already. But this is, I feel like, a step in that direction. We have rebranded the variety of small event quests as activities to better represent what we felt they truly are. A quick activity to complete with a couple of friends on your own, and then public events will retain their name. Got it. So that should mean that the more rewarding events, but not activities, if those are not going to be cycling as often, maybe I'm kind of not sure, but it's saying activities will now show within the featured activity list when opening the map, alongside daily ops and public events, making them much easier to find and join. Public events have been given their own unique icon, and we have adjusted the min-max levels of enemies that spawn during all activities and public events to provide more of a challenge for high-level players while staying balanced for lower. Additionally, the difficulty labels have been removed. It's interesting because they put a bunch of different difficulty labels and things. I think even if you go to like Arctos Pharma or Project Paradise spawns, I think if you go to that elevator, I think it gives you a warning that like, oh, you should be level 50 plus. Very curious to see, because at the end of the day, a lot of those requirements are just not even requirements, or suggestions. So you end up with a lot of people showing up anyway. I wonder if that's why they removed the difficulty labels. Let's see, how do we start an activity? Activities will now operate on a time-based rotation, which means several activities such as collision course can no longer be started by approaching the area it takes place in. There are some exceptions to this rule. Interesting. So collision course, we want to pop up as often as possible for various reasons. We don't run it too much off of, let's say in the off season. So like during Spooky Scorch, during Holiday Scorch, that's a great way to find those. And at the same time, the rewards can give you, what is it, Gatling Plasma mods, like Stinging Core Receptacle, things like that. So I'm curious to know if that's going to impact how we also farm that event for different reasons. How does this work? Approximately every 10 minutes, not even 20, every 10 minutes, and depending on available activities being completed, players can expect a new activity to become available, chosen randomly. Activities will not repeat until they have all been completed. Okay, so that's... I need to see what the pool of activities would be. Like if you need to complete 10 of them and you can only do 10 every minute, so, you need to make sure that you're on a server for like multiple hours to go through them all just for Collision Course to pop up again, I guess. Whereas Collision Course, we might have gotten lucky and it might have popped up multiple times in a shorter time frame. Enclave activities, which previously required players to progress through the main quest to participate in, are now available to all players through the new system. Aerial blast spots on Parade and Drop Connection. Worry not, members. You have to picture it as Modus. As you can expect to receive additional rewards for your commitment. Okay, so that makes sense. Like, if you don't have progression in Enclave, you'll get the bare minimum, but you might get like Enclave mods or Enclave armor and things like that. Maybe more than before. Maybe. To see what Modus says. Powering up will still need to be activated by approaching the 3 broken down power plants. Okay. Riding Shotgun will also be excluded from the time-based rotation pool. You can repeat this activity every 20 minutes. Oh, interesting. So we can just do Riding Shotgun 3 times an hour? I don't think we're going to, but if we find out people in the community still need plans from there or just want to get a pepperoni roll at the very end, we could definitely run that again. Hordes will appear as an activity. Sorry, they will appear as an activity. They won't interfere with the new activity rotation noted above. Okay, so that just kind of does its own thing. Even if the other activities aren't being completed, you'll still see hordes. Rewards pools update. Oh boy. Oh boy, don't hurt my rewards. All activities and public events have received update-based reward pools. Any unique reward from an activity or public event remains in place. Okay. We've also removed items we felt bloated the player experience and just added weight to your inventory, such as ammo, scrap, chem drops from the event rewards. These are things we feel should be found while playing and killing enemies rather than just dumped in your backpack without you choosing to get them. Okay. I guess. I mean, we're always doing inventory management. It is inventory management simulator, after all. Activities will now reward 75 caps, a chance at a legendary item, a chance, not even guaranteed. 1 regional item schematic or mod, 3 to 5 legendary script, and experience based on player level. Okay. Public events will now reward 150, 2 legendary items, guaranteed. 3 to 5 modules, 3 treasury notes, 1 to 3 improved bait. If you have finished the main the fishing quest. I don't know what that is. 1 you mine it map? If you have none? You mine it map? Is that another way of saying the treasure maps? I'm so lost. An experience based on player level. And then a variety of player titles have been added for public events. Okay, that's cool. So we're just going to want to complete everything anyway. And a variety of camp titles have been added for activities. Camp titles? What? Player titles and camp titles. I don't know if I've ever been to somebody's camp and it has a title attached to it. I'll have to look into that. World loot updates. We're taking this opportunity to make a pass at updating various world loot containers too. Contents of lockboxes found throughout the world have had their loot improved. Chance to receive no way. So a lockbox now gives you a chance at a legendary? That's very interesting. We might be picking locks more often. Just looking for level 3 lock picks. I don't know. U-Minute maps can now be found. Contextual season items, depending on activity challenges, players will now have a chance to find related. Related item such as soap to help her. Oh, okay. So the days that you have to collect toilet paper or soap, for people that don't know where to like readily get some of these, you'll have a contextual, but I don't know why they call it contextual season item. Active challenges. I think it would just be called a contextual challenge items, not season items, right? Because season items would make you think that you can find like the treasure hunter's mole miner pails, or like a cultist's backpack, or whatever they, you know, like that's when I hear contextual season, that's what I think. I'm gonna call these contextual challenge items. So then you'll get items such as soap, toilet paper, other random things that you might need to collect. What is it, like a lighter, or I forget some of the other things you have to collect, but this will make it where you have a chance of finding them. I like that. That sounds interesting. U-Minute maps will now have improved loot depending on level of the map used to activate the Lucky Strike quest, and then cap rewards have been adjusted. So 75, 150, 225 depending. Balancing pass on activities and public events. Jailbreak and Dogwood Die-Off have been disabled. Okay. Jailbreak was what? Was that Mad Dog Malone or something? I don't even know anymore. And then Dogwood Die-Off, you run around collecting the bark or whatever. Okay. These two events are going to take much more time and effort to bring up the quality we would like, so we have made the decision to disable them for now. So they'll probably come back to them in some fashion, okay? Alright, so always vigilant. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Overall timer is reduced to 3 minutes, so speed that up a little bit. Enemies should now spawn more frequently, and then increase Roverbot's health pool. AWOL. Players can now begin the activate the recall beacon immediately after talking to Sergeant. I feel like that's not proper grammar, but who am I to say? We've increased the variety of bots that will appear during the wave. It's funny though, because they say immediately after talking to Sergeant Gutsy. If you go to that event and you talk to Sergeant Gutsy, he's like, "Citizen," and then he gives you a whole spiel. You don't have to stare at him. You can go inside the truck, push the button, and start killing legendaries. Now, the interesting thing is, the way this event would work sometimes, if you just showed up by yourself, started it, you could finish the event before he even finished talking, because sometimes the game would only give you one robot per spawn, and if you just kind of jump back and forth, you can kill him pretty quickly. Obviously, you don't want to try to prevent people from running this event. I'm just surprised they didn't address that. In some other way, they were like, oh yeah, now you can start it immediately. We were always able to start it immediately. In any case, they increased the variety of robots, and now the Sentry Bot will be a guaranteed legendary enemy. Okay. So instead of waiting for a random, like, 3-star Gutsy at the end, we've got back on the beat. Additional loot has been added to the safe rooms, enemy waves have been adjusted, Steelheart's movement speed has been increased, and health decreased. I don't think I've ever done back on the beat, to be honest with you. BattleBot, allowed time between the card swipes has been increased from 4 seconds to 10. Okay, so it's kind of making it where you can't rush through that as quickly. And then Sentry Bot will also spawn as legendary. There's supposed to be a lot more legendaries for all the different events, so we're about to be going through all this. Beast of Burden, we got a Bob. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Okay, the Ogwa is now always a 3-star enemy, and its overall strength has been increased. I don't know how its strength will be increased. I feel like a lot of times when you fight the Ogwa at the very end, it's just in its shell, and everybody's just smacking it. We'll see. Bots on parade, additional enemies can spawn. Amount of time required for the repair sequence has been reduced, so that's a little bit more streamlined. Okay. Breach and clear. The locked Hornwright boxes now have a chance to drop a legendary item. Ooh, and a U-Minute map. Allowed time to start the activity has been reduced from 60 minutes to 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know why some of these events are like, hey, you ready to start this? No, come back in 15 minutes. Reduce the collection timer from 45 seconds to 30. I also imagine them tightening up a lot of events, like in the same fashion where it's like the event doesn't just sit on the server for an hour. That's going to help clear up resources, one would hope. Alright, Campfire Tales. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. You can receive Tadpole badges. Okay. If they are not a Possum Scout, or Possum badges if they are. Ever upward scouts. Interesting. Okay, so this helps you get that done. Increase the strength of the Flatwoods monster. Senses violence. Additional legendary enemies. A lot of these are going to have additional legendary enemies, honestly. Most of these in a row, except like Death Blossoms and maybe a few more here, seem like they will have an increased additional legendary enemies. I like this. So we got Senses Violence. Census Taker can no longer be crippled by enemies. Increases Census Taker's movement speed. There you go, streamline it again. And then reduce the length of the activity from 5 to 4 minutes. I'm curious to know what oh god, the one with the bees and Beckham. I can't think now. That's okay, we'll get to it. Collision Course. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Reduce the overall time of the activity by 2.5 minutes. Huh. I feel like Collision Course, if you and some friends are kind of like melting the scorched as they're running around, it can also be a quick event. I didn't really think that one needed to be streamlined, but that's fine. Dangerous Pastimes. Besides more legendaries, it balance adjustments for enemies. Death Blossoms. Reduce the overall duration and wait times. I don't know if I've done this one. Increase the health of the corpse flowers, and then mole rats have been replaced by cultists. Health bars have been added to display status of each flower. Okay. Distinguished Guests. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Increased health pools of the waitstaff. The place setting and centerpieces now have a glowing VFX, making it easier to spot. Okay. Quest targets for the robot waitstaff have been adjusted. Drop connection. New rewards can now appear in the final cash drop. Increased odds of a legendary creature spawning. Perfect. Eviction notice. Oh god. Here we go. Slightly reduce the number of legendary enemies that can spawn. Dev note. Eviction notice has always been a lucrative event. Today's changes bring it closer in line with the other events, but players should still expect for the event to provide more legendary enemies than other events. Okay, if you say so. Honestly, I can't remember now. I think the most legendaries I've ever gotten from an eviction notice was maybe like 23, 24. We'll just say it's 23. And I know a few others are in the same boat with the high 20s often when running the event, let alone, their max number. So now it's not going to be as lucrative. The very first eviction notice that we can run with the community, I'm going to have everybody tell me how many they get, and we're just going to have to report back. So I'm so curious to know if they're reducing it. They might not have it where it's half the legendaries, but if they take 25% of legendaries away, still you're gonna feel it. We will see. And all right, so back to the rest of the eviction notice. Quest markers have been added to the meat bags. So for the people that actually don't know where the meat bags are, I think it's 5 or 6 of them. That should make it a little easier for that initial stage of the event to get started. And then balance adjustments for the enemies. So maybe you're not going to get melted by the fire starters when they start lobbing like missiles at your face. All right. Feed the people. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Once upon a time, Feed the People actually fed the people. No matter what you were doing in the server, if somebody completed Feed the People, it was just a random glitch that it would give everybody. It was either canned stew or something like that. So once they fixed it, it was just so funny. It was like Feed the People no longer feeds the people. But it'll give you legendary enemies now. Fertile Soil, farmhand supervisors are now all guaranteed legendary enemies. We got Fly Swatter, increase the strength of the Vertibot. Free range, additional... We're going to be running every single event just to see what they're like now. Whether we used to run them or not. Additional legendary enemies. The Brahmin will no longer attempt to attack. Okay, good. That's good. Sheep Squatch will now always be a legendary enemy and has its strength increased. How about the Sheep Squatch is now a guaranteed 3-star. Free range spawns in 3 different locations. The one that's in the mire is probably the best one if you're looking for Sheep Squatch for whatever reason, just because it has a chance to spawn 2 of them. Curious to know what that's gonna mean. Strength increased. Heart of the Swamp, additional legendary enemies can spawn. Adjust the difficulty of the Grafton monster. What does that mean? Made it harder or easier? Rational Fear, here we go. Additional legendary enemies can spawn, and the quest trackers have been added to the enemies. Perfect. Got to keep running those events if you want those region-specific loot drops, like the tattered field jacket, the traveling leather coat, things like that. You can only do that in certain, or receive those in certain regions. So as we run things like Heart of the Swamp and more, these kind of updates are going to be very useful. Alright, we got It's a Trap. Scorch Beasts will now always spawn as 3-star legendary enemies, okay. Leader of the Pack no longer triggers a horde upon completion. Instead, a new objective to hunt the alpha wolf has been added to the activity after defeat. Okay. So they don't basically just generate another activity. It's within the same activity. Makes sense. Line in the Sand adjusts the spawn timers, allowing enemies to spawn more often. Enemies should no longer spawn outside of the event radius. Pathing for the Scorch has been improved. Really? I remember years and years ago they were having adjustments they needed to make just because of the Scorched ending up outside, or if you placed a tent too close, it would cause all the Scorched to spawn in a different spot. Like, so I feel like they've always had issues with Line in the Sand, whether you know it or not. Load Boring, as we call it. Just the rewards available from the kiosk. Okay, Manhunt, Graft and Dam has been adjusted to make this feel more like an infiltration. And then, I was saying Mad Dog Malone before. That was Jailbreak. Mad Dog Malone's health and damage have been increased, and guards will now spawn as legendary. Monster Mash, I feel like I've only done this a few times. Additional legendary enemies can spawn, adjusted the rewards available from the candy machine, and then fixed an issue causing Monster Mask appearance to be stuck on the character. I can't remember. Were you able to take the mask from there? I don't know. Moonshine Jamboree. Ghouls have been replaced with floaters. Interesting. Reduced total time. They reduced the total time of different stages. Amazing. We've been saying for the longest time that Moonshine Jamboree feels like if it was just one stage less, it would be the appropriate amount of time. It just feels like it's an event that lasts so long. And like the running joke is when it spawns, you can go take care of your dailies and then spawn into it and still have plenty of time to participate in a few stages. Love it. Most Wanted, reduce the number of buckaroos needed to 500. If defeated, the golden varmint will now provide 500 caps and a random legendary. Okay. Nuka point payout has been increased to 7,500. I don't know if it was 5k or less before. I don't remember. Additional legendary enemies can spawn. Okay. One Violent Night, additional legendary enemies. The Night Stalker is now guaranteed 3-star and increased its strength. Path to Enlightenment, more legendaries. Interesting. What does that mean? We're going to find rad toads that are legendary, or the little lantern bugs flying around. They might be legendaries. Cultists have been added. Okay, perfect. So now cultists. Reduce required amount of bioluminescence from 50 to 30. Okay, that seems a little bit more reasonable. Patrol duty. More enemies are now present during the defense stage. The penitentiary guard can no longer be crippled by enemies. Increase the penitentiary guard's movement, speed, and health. Then we got Project Beanstalk. Honestly, Patrol Duty, Project Beanstalk, I don't think I've ran these, and if I have, it's been a very long time. Project Beanstalk, reduce the overall duration, increase the movement speed of the Pharmabot, and now the Pharmabot can no longer be crippled. Project Paradise, enemy waves have been adjusted for variety. Reduce the difficulty of the ambient creatures in Arctos Pharma, and reduce the required amount of collectibles in each habitat to level the friendly creatures. I'm confused. Reduce the required amount of collectibles in each habitat to level the friendly creatures. What was it? It went from like... Oh god, it went from... I don't even know what it used to be. Is it 30 now? Is it 15? I can't remember. In each room, how many collectibles you need. But now it's saying reduced it again. I feel like not enough people ran Project Paradise. I feel like some of these changes are also, in my mind, like how can we encourage people to run these events more? Were people not running them as much because, like Project Paradise is one of those that might not even be completed successfully, just because if you have too few people running it, they're not in the 3 different rooms. There's a few different variables for that one that I could think of. So just as we're also going through these notes, in the back of my mind, I'm trying to think why they changed certain things. Because at the end of the day, it seems like they made a lot of stuff easier or more rewarding, which is the more rewarding part is what I want. Things don't need to necessarily be easier. And again, if you've played 76 for a while, Project Paradise used to be much harder than what it was as of a week ago. And now if they're making it even easier, well, we might start running Project Paradise again just to see what these changes are like. Riding shotgun, more loot has been added along the path to this event. Brahmin health has been balanced. Safe and sound, increase the strength of the Blue Devil. Spin the wheel, some more legendaries, increase the health of the statues. That's good. The statues sometimes feel like they went too quick. The button timer has been adjusted from 30 to 45 seconds. And then Nuka payout has been increased as well. Almost done here. Surface the air. Repairing the turret now only costs 1 steel, 1 gear, 1 oil, and 1 circuitry. Reduce the overall time to 3 minutes and increase the amount of enemies. Tea time. Additional legendary enemies can spawn and reduced overall time. Yeah, so like tea time is the butt of the joke. Because we're waiting for different events to pop up throughout the week. Every 20 minutes you have something to pop up. And before things pop up, you'll have people in chat basically say like, yeah, it's going to be a tea time. We do need to run tea time just because, again, those regional rewards. If you don't run the regional rewards, you're not going to get those rare apparel. But now if we have shorter events, more rewarding events, well, we should be checking them out, right? Test your metal. If defeated, the golden eyebot now provides, same thing as Most Wanted. Will now provide caps and a random legendary item. This one's 500 caps. Reduce the starting timer of the event to 5 minutes to talk to Pappas, right? And then reduce the overall time. I don't think that was a super long event. Tunnel of Love. Additional legendary enemies can now spawn. And then the payout has been increased, similar as the other ones. Uranium Fever. Mole rats have been added to the enemy waves and reduce the health of the extractors. Interesting. Uranium Fever is one of those events you can just kind of stand there and not even care about the extractors, and even if all hell is breaking loose, you're normally succeeding. I wonder if they're gonna force people to like actually pay attention to the extractors by doing that, if they're breaking more often. So Pip-Boy performance has been upgraded as well. They're saying substantial Pip-Boy improvements are coming along with this update. What is smother? Oh, smoother navigation. Yeah, here's the thing. Part of me feels like a lot of these update notes are posted almost last minute and final drafted last minute. And we were able to catch some of the, the things that might not make sense. So smoother navigation, improved responsiveness, and more quality of life improvements should make navigating your Pip-Boy a better experience. Menus loading up faster. Ooh, hold on now. 52% faster. Inventory actions are 70% quicker. Memory efficiency up to 88% less memory usage, reducing lag. And ooh. So one of my characters has like 1,600 pounds of stuff on him. He's got like a full weapon weight reduction, all that stuff. And that's my mule. And it's got like hundreds of weapons on it. I'm curious to see how quickly I can go through that character's inventory now, because there was noticeable lag. Even has somebody who plays on a Series X and like don't have any of that lag with my other characters. Interesting. UI and quality of life improvements. Clearer tabs. Perks now have their own tabs separate from effects for easier management. Recipe book. Find recipes and plans faster in the new recipe book and notes tab. Scrollable text boxes. No more shrinking text. Large text boxes are able to be scrolled. And then dedicated leads tab. Organize quest related info more clearly with a separate. I'll have to check this out. Seasons visibility improvements. Season flag notification. A new blue exclamation mark flag appears to alert players about new seasons content they can unlock. Disappears once the players enter the seasons menu. Will reappear when the new items are available. Okay. Score widget enhancements. Update to the score widget in the top corner of the screen now includes ticket balance, score progression, and a button to directly access the seasons menu. Includes reward image previews on unclaimed rewards, direct navigation and UI updates, dedicated button mapping, and then we have updated flyouts for significant events, challenge completed, ranking up and unlocking new page, added ticket balance display to the paper map for better awareness. Okay. Reward visibility improvements, rotating reward previews integrated into the widget. Flyouts now highlight new page unlocks and major milestones without overwhelming players. Got it. Vanity lights. Vanity light is an additional feature to photo mode for lighting your character. Select lighting styles and change your intensity. I like this because now you can take a screenshot like anywhere. Admittedly, my screen, the brightness is way brighter than default. So there's a lot of times that I'm viewing the game at what I'm like comfortable with, and then there's times that I go back and I look at some of the screenshots I've taken. And I'm like, wow, this is actually much darker than I anticipated. So this will help me out a lot. And as steps to access the Vanity light, go to your photo mode, select the player tab, and then you have 5 light templates to choose from. And you can adjust the intensity slider for each. Perfect. Armor update. Our intentions with these armor changes are to make different armors and under armors feel like they're a viable option in a variety of situations you might find yourself in. We don't want players to feel like there's only one correct choice when it comes to your equipment. As you read through the notes below, please keep in mind our goals of this update. Provide a wider range of viable armor choices based on your build and what you're fighting. Add more flexibility with how you decide to modify your armor to cover your needs, and allow for more synergistic balance adjustments and better difficulty tuning for all present and future content. We want storing items in your stash to be the ideal place to keep all your spare armor, so we've lowered the weight of armors across the board. Love it. Love it, love it. So, not so long ago, and it comes up more times than not, we float the idea of, hey, are we ever going to get more than 1,200 stash space? Of course we would love it. Of course we say, as the seasons go on, they give us more and more things for us to store and display, which may take up weight in the stash as well if you're displaying things in your camp. So you wonder, when are they going to adjust that? Well, they kind of are, because if not everybody's going to have this problem, but if you're like me and you have multiple armor sets, even if it's just a couple of armor sets, depending on how much they're reducing the weight with this, you should get a good amount of weight to, utilize to hoard whatever else you need. So even if this is supposed to be armor related, that's a big update for me right there. So we have general. We have changed the equation used for calculating damage reduction to put more emphasis on armor rating. Damage you take is now reduced first by your armor and then by a special damage reducing effects. Side effect of this change is that your armors will no longer break as quickly when you have special damage reducing. Interesting. So basically, if my sentinel or my tankies is proccing more often, that is being taken advantage of first instead of the armor taking the damage. So okay, should have lasted a little longer. All special damage reducing effects from the sources as excuse me, minus 15 damage from robots now multiplied together rather than add. Oh no. Oh no. That means it's 15% times 15% times. So wait. So my full troubleshooter set, instead of getting, is it 75? 15 times what, 5? Instead of getting 75% reduction on EN06 on the encrypted robot, now it's going to be 15 times 15 times 15. I can't sit here and do the math, but I'm not going to lie. That sounds like you're not, like, I don't even care about a full troubleshooters anymore. I'm probably better off getting 2 parts life-saving, maybe 2 parts troubleshooters. I would have to sit here and do the math, but part of me feels like if I just take 15% and times that by 15% until it hits all the armor pieces that I have equipped, that's not a lot. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. We got to test that out. I didn't know anything about this until right now, and I feel like that's one of the first things we got to test out. Armors now have more elemental resistance options. Okay. Braced armor mods have been redesigned to give plus 5% block damage reduction, and all under armors now share a new mod slot that controls which special stat bonus is gained. Ooh. So if you want to level faster, just switch it to intelligence. The existing lining mods no longer grant any special stat bonuses and instead grant more resistances. Interesting. Alright, so for Under Armor mods, I'm not going to go through all these, but feel free to utilize the link in the description or pause the video to go through them. We got Standard, Vault, Raider, Secret Service, Marine, Enclave, Casual, Brotherhood of Steel, and Civil Engineering styles. We got Default Legendary mods and Unique effects. They updated Default Legendary mods and added a unique effect to several armors. Trail Warden, Metal Armor. Default Legendary mods, Hunters, Perception, and Through Hikers. Trail Warden, I can't remember. Trail Warden. Is that a metal chest piece? No, I don't remember. Unique 50% throwing weapon damage, now available from load-bearing terminal. Stand Fast, combat armor. We have a few different things. I'm basically just going to mention where they come from. This one comes from One Violent Night. The silver lining leather armor will be dropping from Breach and Clear. We're 100% going to be running every single event. There's going to be way too much to keep up with all these changes. So basically just do every event, and then hopefully you get some new goodies. Last Bastion, which is Urban Scout armor. You get that from Enclave activities. The new Last Stand, which is Brotherhood Recon armor, drops from Nuka World on Tour Nuke Boss. So that's the Titan over there. New Bulwark Secret Service armor drops from the Storm Goliath Nuke Boss. Okay. The Three Stooges over there. Roadkill Trapper Left Arm drops from Meat Week. Okay. And then I'm kind of reading what the unique effects for these. They're kind of interesting. Not like I don't think I'm gonna jump on really any of these, but we'll test them out when the time's right. And then we got the Rage Raider armor drops from Earl. Gotcha. Power armor significantly reduced the weight of all power armor and the base weight of all power armor chassis, which is great. Because if they're reducing the base weight of the power armor chassis, what is the power armor chassis? 10, 15, not even. So a lot of this is going to give us weight back in our stashes, which is great. Deployed power armor chassis no longer removes its weight as if you dropped it. This change is made to help indicate the item is still in your inventory and you have not dropped. Okay, makes sense. Power armor chassis weight is now derived from its contents. Oh no. Never mind. I was hoping that, because before it was, if you had 5 different pieces of power armor, it adds up very quickly, right? But if you have it on the chassis, that would help you save weight. So even if you had a Frankenstein build, you can put them all together and save a lot of weight, but now it's a little different. Equipped power armor retains 100% of its weight, and power armor that is broken no longer has reduced weight. Radiation. Nuke zones will deal more radiation damage to those in power armor if they are not fully suited up. Full set of power armor and using Radix. Interesting. So they want you to be using Radix actively, and not even Radix diluted. They're saying, forget whatever mutations you have, you better be using some Radix. Got it. The damage is not immediate, and you should still expect to have a time to react if you're suddenly caught in a nuke zone while you're with your power armor. So now here's the thing. Can they also adjust where people spawn? So like during a Scorch Beast Queen, depending on where the nuke drops, if you end up dying and spawning in the nuke zone, that might just be a cycle of you just dying over and over again. I wonder if this helps people escape the nuke zone. We'll see. We will see. What else we got here? Rebalance radiation damage from the environment. Generally, the damage you take from environmental sources is now longer. It's now easier to leverage mods on a regular armor alongside items like Radix to reduce incoming radiation damage. And now hazmat suits now have a basic spread of resistances rather than just radiation resistance. Okay. So it's not like... I mean, it kind of made sense because those hazmat suits, if you take a blade to it, it's going to be cut very easily, but as long as it's not breached, it's going to protect you from hazardous sources of radiation or anything else, or airborne things. But hey, what do I know? All right, legendary mods. Let's take a quick look. We got a few of these here. We got mutants, new effect, up to 5% damage reduction as you acquire more mutations. And damage reduction from mutants now scales as you gain more mutations, capping at 5%. I'm so confused. So is it 1% damage reduction per mutation? As somebody who has maybe like 15 or more... No, I don't have as many mutations as I used to, but I used to run around with almost every single one, minus a few, and then you can't have like vegetarian and, or whatever it is, you can't have carnivore and herbivore at the same time. Bolstering. Up to 10% damage reduction when HP is lower. Okay, reaching 5% HP provides a 10% damage reduction. Huh. Vanguard's new effect, up to 10% damage reduction based on max HP. So like the opposite. Having 1,000 max health provides 1,000 max health? I don't think any of my characters have 1,000 health. Overeaters, new effect increases max health by up to 40 per piece. Wow. That's actually pretty nice. That would be an extra 200 HP, which maybe would allow me to hit 1,000. But I want to look at overeaters because earlier in these notes, we're talking about the reduction in protection from like troubleshooters armor, right? So now if it's not added, if it's not 15 plus 15 plus et cetera, if it's 15% times 15%, that's not going to be good. For all those pieces, you might get like, what, 20, a little more than 20? I don't know. I have to do the math there, but I don't know how Overeaters is going to work because I was using Overeaters, and I think Overeaters is 6% reduction based off of hunger and thirst and all that. And it's pretty easy because I just use a survival syringe, and with 5 pieces, you should get 30% reduction. If Overeaters didn't change, but the other ones changed, Overeaters might be something I lean more into instead of using the troubleshooters, because it's like if I can reduce the damage by 30% versus like whatever it actually translates with troubleshooters, I might as well use Overeaters. Testing needs to be happening. We need to do some science. Aristocrats, up to 10% damage reflection based on caps held. So if you hold 40k caps, you have 10% damage reduction as well. Elementalist, new effect increased from 5 all res to 25 all resistances. Warming, fireproof, hazmat, and poisoners mods have increased from 25 to plus 50 on the resistance. Defenders, new effect, 40% chance to automatically block attacks for weapons and 5% chance to automatically block attacks for armor. Cavalier's weapon mod, now renamed to Blocker. Damage reduction from this effect explicitly applies to block damage now. Interesting. Cavalier armor mod, new effect, minus 10% damage taken while sprinting. See, but again, I don't know what this means. Does that mean Cavalier 5 pieces is going to be 10 times 5, which is minus 50% damage taken while sprinting? Or is it 10% times 10% times 10%, because that's not a lot. 10%? Now, mind you, I'm not the best at math here, but 10% times 10%, is that not just then 11%? And 11% times that 10 again is whatever, 1.1. So now it's 12.1. 12, if you just keep doing that, what's the most you get after 5 pieces? 16 if it rounds to 16? I gotta do so much testing. And if you guys have already started doing testing. And if you're a part of our, Twitch community, by all means, come through. Let us know in chat. Let's spark up those conversations. If you're just on the YouTube side of things, please definitely drop some comments, because there's a lot of changes over here that I have to be checking out quickly. Because if not, I'm going to be using the wrong armor before I'm even messing with my weapons. I want to make sure I'm dressed for the occasion. Reposting, we have the effect now specifically reflects block damage and also works with a new auto block effect. And then a waitlist 3-star mods have been reworked and renamed to heavyweight. Grants up to 10% reduced damage at 150% carry weight. I'm so confused. Did they change the waitlist mod to instead of reducing the weight to make it where you take less damage if you carry more weight? I'm so confused. I'm literally so confused. What does 150% carry weight mean? Does that mean if my carry weight is, if my limit is 100, it needs to be 150 for me to get, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? I'm so confused. We're gonna find out, guys. We're gonna find out. That'll be my next few stream sessions and off stream, trying to test out some of these things. There are a lot of armor mod adjustments. I'm not gonna go through all these, but again, feel free to either A, pause the video, or B, go through the link that I'll provide in the description. A lot of things changed over here. It seems like for the better, because I'm seeing certain things like mod weight being changed from 30 to 15, mod weight 30 to 15, and then it also says like durability is going down as well, so that's not as good, but it seems like at a quick glance a lot of these should be helping. Should, keyword. Perks, legendary perks no longer require perk coins to unequip. Perfect. You don't got to spend 2 each time. Perk coin limit has been increased to accommodate very high level players. Fix an issue where the bloodluster effect didn't work with certain weapons. Bleed mods. Portable power, a new effect, increases movement speed while in power armor by 10% per rank. Sturdy frame is a new effect. Reduces the amount of stagger taken per rank. Blocker now reduces damage from blocked attacks. 15, 20, 25 more damage blocked. And fireproof has changed to rename it to hardy. But that doesn't make sense to me, because hardy is explosive damage mod, right? Removed fire damage reduction. They're changing things too much again. They're like, hey, you remember that perk that helped you with some... I'm pretty sure fireproof helps you with like Scorch Beast Blast, even though that might not make sense. Like, there's a few different things that you can use that would reduce your damage that was attributed to fire. But now removed fire damage reduction. We've added many new sources of fire resistances and felt this perk was better suited to a single effect. Okay. Sure. I don't know. Honestly, I don't even know if I was using it. I might have had extra... Is that endurance? I might have had extra endurance points. And I might have just had it on because... But now if it's like hardy... Like I use hardy on maybe like 1 of 5 pieces of armor. Creatures and enemies. Some stronger enemies. Outgoing damage has been reduced. Raid bosses, etc. Some enemies' poisons, fire, cryo damage has been increased a bit to account for players having much easier access to those resistances. Weapons. All curse weapons can now be modified in legendary crafting now. Which, I feel like, weren't they already? Isn't like the Elder's Mark technically a curse weapon? Well, I guess not all of them were able to be changed, so that's what the issue was. Curse mods now increase damage by 35%, up from 15. Ooh. And attack speed by 15, down from 20. Okay, so they went up a lot on the damage, but they reduced the attack speed by a little bit, which still makes it seem like it's going to do a lot more damage regardless. Added new legendary effects to some unique weapons. This does not affect existing items. Ooh, hold on now. Hold on now. So that means... This means they just created more legacies, guys. And if my perception tells me anything, it might only be these items, the Civil Unrest, the Perfect Storm, and the Black Diamond. If anybody has any of these items, they will still be the old mods and legendaries attributed to them, and now are technically legacies. So if you like to collect random odds and ends, was the Black Diamond a ski sword? I can't remember. The Perfect Storm, I'm pretty sure, is like a... I don't know if that's an SMG. I can't remember now. And then Sylvan Rest, I have no idea. I got no idea, but keep an eye out for those. Remove the overheat mechanic from the Gauss minigun and slightly lowered its damage. This is a temporary removal of the overheat mechanic as we plan to reevaluate it in a later update. So, people earlier last season were saying that the Gauss minigun was getting a big nerf, and then apparently some testing in the PTS allowed people to find out it wasn't as bad as anticipated. And I'm curious if they're just removing the overheat mechanic temporarily, like what are they going to do with that in the future? So we'll have to see. Fix some inconsistencies with the Stabilizer's 4-star legendary mod. It now improves weapon cone of fire, recoil, and stability by 40%. Armor. Hellcat helmet power armor now has the headlamp modifier available for you to modify. Hellcat Union and Vulcan power armor suits now correctly produce the jingle football sounds once Northern Lights powered up armor skin has been applied. I have no idea what... Oh, okay, duh. It's like the holiday skins. Makeshift Ronin helmet now counts as a gas mask, and targeting HUD works on living targets and no longer highlights robots. Camps and workshops fix an issue where bushes wouldn't be bulldozed when... Oh, thank God. When building over top of them. Hazmat Mr. Fuzzy plushie and Pioneer Scout Squirrel Mr. Fuzzy plushie previews face forward. Oh, they were, I guess, facing the wrong way. Dynamite box now has a build limit of 25. Hollywood floor lights now only powers on when a power source is nearby. Newly created blueprints will now display requirements. Mole Rat wind chime should now correctly snap to ceilings. The Vault Boy Santa snow globe lamp now faces the right direction in the workshop menu. Wooden kitchen tables should now make proper wood-like sounds when destroyed. Vulcan power armor now works as intended when players are underwater. No clue. I'm not sure why the Vulcan stuff, that last one, is for camps and workshops, but okay. Public events and activities fix issues where Mischief Night did not drop treasure notes. Monster Mask, we were talking about this earlier, will now be visually dropped when the mask is dropped from inventory by event rules or by leaving the event. Patrol duty emergency broadcast message will now be played when the event fails. Re-adding missing rare rewards to Spooky Scorch rare category recipes. Ooh. So last time we were hunting down Spooky Scorch, we might have been actually missing out on some stuff. Got it. Didn't even know. The Big Bloom Moonshine Jam, Tunnel Love, and Most Wanted. Active players can now listen in on another player's conversation with an NPC when it's relevant to that event. So in my mind, if you're over there doing Tunnel of Love and somebody's in one of the tunnels or even on the higher area and the robots are in the middle of getting married, I guess you might be able to listen in on that. We'll see. So we're almost on the final stretch here, guys. Almost there. Gameplay. Adjusted how challenge completion event is triggered to be more consistent. Buildings in the Rust Kingdom no longer flicker when observing from the nearby cliff. Fixed an issue that allowed the chem duration effect of the Biocom Mesh Armor mod to remain active when the armor was unequipped. Daily weekly challenges for items that a player vendor now accepts when multiple items are bought. So you don't have to buy just like one thing of armor or ammo to, if it's like buy 10 items from a player, you don't have to just buy one ammo. I think you can just buy 10 and just get it done. Explosions will now affect condition of limbs. Make sure you get your adamantium going. Fix an issue where the center masochist was only displaying 25 increased damage rather than reflecting 50% in rank 2 and 75 in rank 3. Okay. The display issue, the actual damage dealt was working correctly at all ranks. Fix an issue with the gamma green tea did not produce extra ingredients when harvesting kaleidopore flowers. Pretty sure the kaleidopores are only from Arctos Pharma. I can't remember now. Fix an issue where monsters could play knockdown animations again when already knocked down. Okay. Fix an issue where turbo fertilizer grenades have no effect on perkeye plants. Grenade throwing arc now displays correctly when holding two-hand projectile weapons in first person. Items with only bounty mods can now be scrapped. The armored Deathclaw will no longer turn on the Beastmaster during gearing up when no other targets are nearby. I've never seen that. You imagine the Beastmaster is leading the Deathclaw and all of a sudden the Deathclaw attacks. It's like, stop, you're embarrassing me. Fixed an issue causing damage to limbs to be higher than designed, and then increased the movement speed cap from 120 to 150. Default amount of damage reduction when blocking attacks has been reduced from 100 to 60%. Greatly decreased condition damage weapons take from blocking. The Ultra Genetic Mole Miner Stalker. Here we go now. The Ultra Genetic Mole Miner Stalker now deals a significant amount of physical damage and inflicts a deadly bleed instead of dealing a killing blow. So now, the second stage in the raid should allow you to get hit, survive a little bit, spam a bunch of stims, and hopefully run away without dying. Hopefully. Players have 90% damage reduction against their own attacks. Okay. So if you're shooting something with a very explosive, a very high rate of damage and explosive next to yourself, you're not going to take yourself out that way. Radx radiation resistance has been increased. Radx diluted radiation resistance has been increased. And then Medx damage resist has been increased. Legendary mods. Added the missing names to some legendary mods over here in Burning Springs. Fixed some inconsistencies with the Stabilizers 4-star mod. We were just talking about that. Bring a full set of armor with the Reflex mod now applies the correct bonus. The Harpoon Gun's Barb mod now works with its base bleed effect rather than removing it. And then there's multiple weapons that also had that issue with adding bleed. The Ski Sword, Revolutionary Sword, Chinese Officer Sword, Machete, Shish Kebab, and Headhunter Scythe. Perks. Addressed an issue where the Bloodluster effect didn't work with certain weapon bleed mods. Adjust the description of the Homebody perk. All Night Long now appropriately doubles the duration of Nuka-Cola Dark. Hack and Slash now applies bleeding damage over time, applicable melee weapons. And Ironclad now correctly applies armor bonuses. So if you had rank 4 of Ironclad or something like that before, it wasn't giving you the armor bonus. Oops. So we should maybe notice a little bit more defense on our side. All right, so we got Miscellaneous, Quest, Weapons, and just a couple more. So for the Miscellaneous, I'm going to skim through this one real quick. So be sure to go through and double check if there's anything that you might find relevant. Fix an issue causing the ghoul to not speak to a player in Appalachia if activity Monster Mash was active. Interesting. I had a couple of there's a couple times that I went to the ghoul in Highway Town and I had some issues trying to purchase bounties. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. But at a quick glance, it doesn't seem like anything too crazy in Miscellaneous, but do make sure you go through that. Quest, I'll make sure I read these. Casting Off fixed an issue where the Linda Lee shortwave signal would continue to be available. In Quest, Insurrection fixed an issue where Letter to Madman was not added to the inventory when when picked up. Insurrection fixed an issue where the player could no longer progress from Return to Leonard objective. Also, they fixed an issue where the Talk to Lone Shark objective was not progressing. Kevin Asherton should descend the tunnel to collect ore regardless of whether Kevin was interrupted by a combat. I have no idea what these quests are. There's so many quests and events that we're going to be doing now that, you know, at least the activities and events have different rewards. Wasted on alcohol, the quest should no longer display debug text after completion, and welcoming committee. Fix the minor visual issue with the rust guards. Weapons, the black powder rifle's large bayonet can now be learned by scrapping the black powder weapon. The fancy single action revolver and fancy pump action shotgun skins now display correctly. Ferals now should only be applied to melee weapons. Oh, interesting. That was only supposed to be melee. Fix an issue which caused some weapon animations to not work correctly in third person while crouching. The LMG prime receiver can no longer be sold to vendors. Okay. Short handmade rifles now have the correct option for the default appearance. Snipers mod should no longer be disabled for any hostile creatures close to you. The Fat Man Merv will now correctly create a main detonation and 5 child detonations. Fix an issue which caused some weapons to break again after repair at a workbench. And the Death Tambo now correctly counts as a bladed weapon when completed the bladed challenges. Workbench, range armors in light, sturdy, and heavy categories. And then for UI, we got a few things in here. Again, make sure you go through these, double check if there's anything that you're going to be finding relevant and useful to you during your adventures in Appalachia. Visuals. Fixed several visual issues where armored burning Deathclaw displaying correct textures, fix various misplaced objects in the world, improve frame rate when moving large workshop structures. The character select photo window displays its content correctly, and super ultra wide 32:9 ratio. The visual artifact causing part of the rusted coat of arms outfit to appear in first person view has been resolved. Various mini-season challenge missing completion flyouts now have completion flyout. And the Vault Boy Elf Lawn Gnome properly burst into a cloud of dust when destroyed. Stop shooting the gnomes. Okay. Alright, so we got known issues and the Pip-Boy issues as the final couple things here. Please be sure to pause the video or check those out if you want to know what they say. But guys, we did it. We did it. Backwoods release note. I have a lot of questions and things to test out based off of what we've read here. The servers are not even up yet, so I'm going to do my best to try to get this video up on my channel as quickly as I possibly can. Definitely let me know what you're thinking of the seasonal challenges, whether it's on the YouTube comment section. If you're a part of our Twitch community, let's definitely talk. If you're not a part of our Twitch community, we do stream 76 throughout the week. On the Xbox side of things, even if you're not on Xbox, we like to say that the conversations are cross-platform, right? But excited for Season 24, excited for this Backwoods update. We got Bigfoot, we got Uninvited Guests, we got the changes to the events, the activities, the various improvements for the Pip-Boy, the various armor balancing, which I'm just going to look at it as hopefully we get more armor out of it, hopefully we get more resistances out of it, and hopefully that reduction in weight both on your character and in your stash, hopefully it's very noticeable. The vanity lights for the screenshots and everything else that you're going to be taking, and again, Season 24, Rip Daring, and the Cryptids from Beyond the Cosmos. If you made it through to this far into the video, thank you guys for supporting what we got going on. If you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I cover patch notes, I cover various things. I like to go through the seasonal rewards and claim that once I hit 100 rank in the season, and I like to share those thoughts. And there's a couple other goodies that we have planned for creative things in Fallout 76 and Fallout 4. So some tour videos of camps, some settlements, and other goodies. So keep an eye out if that also interests you. But definitely check out the description for a link to the patch notes, to the Twitch channel, and more that I got going on. But again, thank you for supporting what we got going on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.